When did you realize that you're dating an idiot? Before we start with the first story, please hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell to stay updated with us. Number 25. The night I said that I thought I smelled gas, and they grabbed a lighter and struck it without hesitation. Maybe they're not dumb, just ready to go out in a ball of flames. Number 24. She refused to pay taxes, have a bank account, or pay for public transit. She told me I change my name every few years, so they can't find me. Like, she'd go to the government and change her name. Legally, so the government couldn't find her. We broke up for other reasons, but this was the first red flag. Number 23. My wife would bring stuff home and said, "Refrigerate after opening." Open it and put it in the refrigerator. Only after I asked her what she was doing. She laughed harder than I did. Number 22. I asked my ex-girlfriend to marry me. She said yes. That was when I knew. Married 25 years now. What a beautiful dope she is. Number 21. We were talking about dinosaurs and he was shocked to hear they were real. Then he proceeded to ask me if they really breathe fire. He thought dinosaurs and dragons were the same thing. Can you prove that they aren't? Number 20. One day they looked at me and said, "We should make a trip to New York." I said I think that would be fun, but we really don't have the money to fly there right now. It's not that far. We lived in Portland, Oregon at the time. New York is next to Canada, and Canada is just past Washington. It can't be that far away. Number 19. One night he turned to me and said, "You're a bit of a scientist. I was taking biology in high school, and he was in college for music. Can you explain how I can take frozen yogurt from the freezer, put it in the fridge, and it melts?" And I, already concerned, replied, "Well, the fridge is warmer, it's not cold enough to keep it frozen." And he then asked, "But it's still cold." And I had to explain that there are different levels of cold. Somewhere along the way have said, cold is the absence of heat like darkness is the absence of light, and he was so mind-blown by that. Number 18. My ex-wife. The doctor said her test came back positive and she said, "Does that mean I'm not pregnant?" I knew at that moment I was in for a long ride. Number 17. 1990. We live in Central Alabama. She told me that she and her best friend were going to Birmingham for the weekend. Didn't think anything of it. There's lots of shopping and things to do in Birmingham. Came over Sunday night to tell me how disappointed she was in the trip. They had driven through all of the wealthier neighborhoods in Birmingham, Alabama for 2 days trying to find a house that matched the gates to Ozzy Osbourne's house and never found it. He lives in Birmingham, England. Number 16. When she told me she doesn't believe in so-called professionals. They're just normal, everyday people like me. What more could they know? She was my daddy's a heart surgeon, so I'm basically one also type of chick. Every few months or so I reflect on how grateful I am that she never got pregnant. Edit, just to clarify, her dad definitely was not a heart surgeon. Not even close to now. But if he was, you wouldn't hear the end of it with that chick. Number 15. When she asked me, "Have you ever had your hair set on fire?" and then lit my hair on fire. We done. The intrusive thoughts won that day. Number 14. She was struggling with money and being able to save. I came home one day and she had a new 40K car in the driveway. She purchased it without even discussing it with me. She essentially sentenced herself to having no savings for the next 5 years when we were trying to save to buy a house together. Number 13. When he suggested that we should have a shared banking account after only dating less than a month. That's more of a red flag for an abuser than an idiot. But maybe he was an idiot for thinking he'd fall for that trick. Number 12. She worked for a specialty decorated cookie shop at the mall. Like where you get those dinner plate-sized cookies with "Get Well Soon" or whatever written in frosting. She texted me a picture from work, proudly showing me a cookie she had decorated for a customer. She was legitimately excited to show me her creation. I had not previously seen any of her masterpieces prior to this. Not only did the artwork look like a 3-year-old's finger painting, but it said Congratulations, which aside from the obviously bad spelling, she had clearly not even planned out the spacing in her head first. So it said Conradu across the whole cookie, and then, in tiny letters up the side, Layton's. She thought it came out pretty well. She was about 30 at the time. I'll be honest, I broke things off shortly afterward because of that cookie. Number 11. I gave my girlfriend a gift, a box with something in it, and after she opened it and saw what it was, I told her to check it again, because it's gone. I don't know why I said that. I think I was joking to confuse her or be silly or something. But without opening the box, the gift was still in there. She started screaming and ran to the other side of the room, believing that I had just performed dark magic or something. She later told me that she believed I was a witch or a demon when I told her that I made it disappear. Number 10. He's a Catholic, so I asked him where he thought heaven was. I'm also Catholic. He said there was the sky, then heaven, and then space. I asked him did NASA went through heaven on its way to space, and he said probably. He also thought that if you were pregnant, that you still had to use contraception or you could get pregnant again, and again, and again. For example, you fall pregnant in February, and then again in March, and again in May, and you just deliver them 9 months from conception. He's an attorney with a 3.6 GPA law degree and master's in law, is French and bilingual, practicing law in Ireland, somewhat academically smart but otherwise questionable. ETA. I asked him to feed my fish once. He put the food on top of the lid of the tank and couldn't figure out why they couldn't access it. Number 9. She didn't want to watch the original Avatar movie, Blue People, until her uncle told her that it was based on a true story. I asked her if she meant that it was a futuristic version of Pocahontas, but no, she thought that it was somehow based on a true story. Then asked if I was calling her uncle a liar. Follow-up questions, like asking if she really thought we waged war against an alien society, went equally poorly. We were 18 years old, FYI. Number 8. When I asked her to hand me a kitchen knife, and she threw it at me, and that's not even the stupidest part. When I tried to explain the basics of handing someone a knife or a pair of scissors, she refused to accept that what she did was wrong or unsafe. It was suddenly apparent that she couldn't possibly ever admit to being wrong. Edit. It was an underhand throw. I work as a part-time chef. A new colleague once tried throwing a 7-inch chef knife into the sink. That is already stupid, but it was way worse because she didn't look and forgot that I was standing there, and she threw it right at my balls. Edit. No, my balls weren't in the sink. She just missed the sink by quite a bit. Number 7. Calls me at work because her crumpets don't fit in the crumpet tray under the toaster. Crumpet tray? Had a look when I got home, clearly labeled crumb tray. Number 6. I once dated a girl who legitimately thought we lived inside the Earth. We were talking about SpaceX back when they were just starting to get more public attention. I mentioned something about how it was cool we'll be alive to potentially see humanity reach for the stars. Her response was something along the lines of, yeah, but how do they get to space? Confused, I said, with the rockets, like in the video. She replied with something like, yeah, but don't we have to get outside of the Earth first? Dumbfounded, I asked for further clarification. She goes on to say, in a tone that suggests I am the idiot here, we live inside the Earth, so how the f do we get out so we can reach space? I then informed her we live on the outside of the Earth. That's why you see open sky and stars, and the sun, and not more Earth above you. She then laughs and states if we lived on the outside of the Earth, wouldn't we just fall off? Still, as if I'm the idiot. My jaw dropped. I responded with a simple gravity. The atmosphere. To which she says, oh yeah, that, haha. Whatever, how was I supposed to know? I asked if this was a joke. It wasn't a joke. She thought we lived in the Earth up until that moment. Where exactly is the Earth? I don't know. I'm afraid to know. I was speechless. She told me to never tell anyone. But we broke up years ago. I think it was for the best. Ask your partners whether they think we live on the inside or outside of the Earth, and reply to this to let me know. I'm curious. I've been bearing this weight alone for close to 10 years. I'd love to know if there are other inner Earth dwellers unknowingly roaming the surface. Number 5. I was dating someone who wasn't on birth control. We were using condoms. She also didn't want me to come inside her because they weren't 100%. I had no problem with that. Double protection from not coming inside and being wrapped up anyway. Sure. So I was finishing myself off after we had sex, and I was getting moderately close and asked if I could finish on her chest. So I did, and some of it also dripped on her belly, nowhere near the nether regions. She immediately freaked out that she might get pregnant from that. She was like, my uterus is right there. It took me 20 minutes to convince her that sperm can't burrow through your skin and get in that way. She kept asking, are you sure? Are you sure? This was a 30-year-old woman. Oh, and no, she didn't get pregnant. At least not in the time I knew her. Number 4. My ex wanted to start a business making supplies for baby showers. Her business plan was to sell everything below cost to increase sales. After I had explained numerous times that you cannot profit from a business that will inevitably lose money, her reply was that I was the idiot because if she sold them cheap it would drum up more business, and she would sell more that way. Number 3. She didn't know that yogurt and pudding were not the same thing. She thought it was like how the British call fries chips. She had been eating pudding and granola for breakfast for months and congratulating herself for being so healthy. She also baked baby Jesus a birthday cake on Christmas, lit a candle, and took it outside. When the wind blew the candle out, she was convinced that Jesus that blew it out. Number 2. She didn't understand that you actually have to pay what you spent on credit cards. Like the credit amount she had was supposed to be her monthly limit that just resets each month. Number 1. She kept stating the big revelation of her story with Lord and behold instead of lo and behold. I told her she was using the wrong word, but I was the idiot because you behold the Lord. Anyways, Lord and behold, she F'd 5 other dudes, so we're on a more than temporary break. And that's all the 25 best stories. If you like more of this, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. You can also share your similar experience in the comment below. See you in the next video.